Welcome to Lesson 3 of Week 11, focusing on the SF-424 cover sheet. This lesson provides line-by-line guidance for completing the standard federal form that serves as the face page for most federal grant applications. The SF-424, formerly known as the Application for Federal Assistance, is the standard cover sheet used across most federal grant programs. This form establishes basic facts about your application and your organization. While it may appear to be straightforward administrative paperwork, errors on this form cause significant problems including validation failures, processing delays, and in some cases, application rejection. The SF-424 collects critical information including your organization's identity and contact information, project details such as title, dates, and summary, funding amounts requested, and various certifications and authorizations. Every field matters, and precision is required. Information on this form must exactly match your organizational records in federal systems. By the end of this lesson, you will understand the purpose and structure of the SF-424. You will know how to complete each section correctly. You will recognize common errors and how to avoid them. You will ensure consistency between the SF-424 and your other application materials. Note that form versions may be updated. Always verify you are using the current version from your application package. This lesson has 4 primary learning objectives. First, you will understand the purpose and importance of the SF-424 in federal applications. This form is not mere paperwork. It establishes your organization's identity, defines key project parameters, and contains certifications with legal significance. Understanding its importance motivates careful completion. Second, you will learn to complete each section of the form accurately and consistently. The form contains multiple sections covering different types of information. Each section has specific requirements for what information to enter and how to format it. Third, you will verify that information on the SF-424 matches your organizational records in federal systems and aligns with other materials in your application. Inconsistencies between the SF-424 and your SAM registration, budget, or narrative create problems. Fourth, you will avoid common errors that cause validation failures or processing problems. Certain mistakes occur repeatedly across applicants. Knowing these patterns helps you check specifically for these issues before submission. Understanding the SF-424 overview provides context for why careful completion matters. The purpose of the SF-424 is to serve as the standard face page establishing basic facts about your application. It identifies who is applying, what they are proposing, how much funding they request, and when the project would occur. This information frames everything else in your application. Usage of the SF-424 extends across most discretionary federal grant programs. While some agencies have supplemental or alternative forms, the SF-424 is the common standard. Learning to complete it correctly prepares you for applications across agencies. Variations in the SF-424 family include related forms for specific purposes. The SF-424A covers budget information. The SF-424B contains assurances and certifications. The SF-424C is used for construction programs. Different programs require different combinations of these forms. Authority of information on the SF-424 extends beyond the application process. What you enter becomes part of your official grant record if funded. The project dates, funding amounts, and organizational information you provide here define the parameters of your award. Accuracy at application stage prevents complications later. Section 1 establishes fundamental categorization of your submission. Type of submission indicates whether this is an initial application, a changed or corrected application that modifies a previous submission, or a pre-application if the program uses a pre-application process. Most submissions are applications. Select changed or corrected only if you are resubmitting to fix problems with a previous submission to the same opportunity. Type of application indicates whether this is a new application for a project not previously funded, a continuation of an existing award, a revision to modify an active award, or other categories specified by the program. New is most common for initial applications. Continuation and revision apply to existing funded projects. Federal identifier is required when your application relates to an existing federal award. For continuations or revisions, enter the grant number of the existing award. For new applications, this field is typically left blank unless the NOFO specifies otherwise. Accuracy in these selections is critical because wrong choices can route your application incorrectly within the agency's processing systems. An application marked as continuation when it should be new may be processed differently than intended. Sections 2 through 4 contain date and identifier fields with specific completion rules. Date received in Section 2 should be left blank. The federal agency completes this field when they receive your application. Entering a date here yourself is incorrect and may cause confusion. Applicant identifier in Section 3 is optional space for your internal tracking number. If your organization assigns internal identifiers to grant applications for tracking purposes, you can enter that number here. This is for your reference. It does not affect federal processing. Many applicants leave this blank. Federal Entity Identifier in Section 4A should be left blank unless the agency has pre-assigned an identifier for your organization for this specific program. This is uncommon. Do not enter your UEY here. That goes elsewhere on the form. Federal Award Identifier in Section 4B applies to applications related to existing awards. For revisions or continuations, enter the grant number of the existing award. For new applications unrelated to existing awards, leave this blank. If unsure whether your application relates to an existing award, consult the NOFO or contact the program office. Section 5 captures applicant information that must precisely match your federal registrations. Legal name must match your sam.gov registration exactly, including punctuation, abbreviations, and spacing. If your registered name is ABC Community Health Center, incorporated with a comma and period, enter it exactly that way. Any variation may cause validation failure. Copy directly from your SAM registration rather than typing from memory. UEI is your unique entity identifier assigned through SAM registration. This 12-character alphanumeric identifier links your application to your organizational record in federal systems. Verify you are entering the correct current UEI. A single character error causes problems that may not be immediately apparent. Organizational unit identifies the department, division, or unit within your organization that is submitting the application, if applicable. Large organizations like universities often specify the particular school or department. Smaller organizations may leave this blank or enter the organization name again. Address must match your registered address exactly. The street address, city, state, and zip code should align with your SAM registration. Address inconsistencies between your application and registration can cause validation or processing issues. Sections 6 and 7 identify your organization for tax purposes and by category type. EIN or TIN is your organization's employer identification number, also called tax identification number. This is the 9-digit number assigned by the IRS that identifies your organization for tax purposes. Enter it accurately, as this number links to your financial and tax records. Type of applicant requires selecting the category that best describes your organization from options such as state government, county government, city or township, independent school district, public or state-controlled institution of higher education, private institution of higher education, nonprofit with 501c3 status, and others. Multiple types may be selectable on some form versions if your organization fits more than one category. For example, a nonprofit that is also a historically black college might select multiple applicable categories. Check whether your form version allows multiple selections. Accuracy in type selection matters because some programs restrict eligibility by applicant type. Selecting an incorrect type could either exclude you from programs you are eligible for or include you in programs you are not eligible for. Select the type that most accurately describes your organization. Section 8 identifies the specific program and opportunity you are applying to. Agency name is the federal agency receiving your application. This is typically pre-populated when you access the application package through Grants.gov. Verify it shows the correct agency for your intended application. CFDA number is the catalog of Federal Domestic Assistance Program number, a 5-digit identifier in the format XX.XXX that uniquely identifies the federal program. This number appears in the NOFO and identifies the program for tracking and reporting purposes. Enter it exactly as shown in the announcement. CFDA title is the official program title as listed in the CFDA. This should match the program name in your NOFO. Like the CFDA number, this is often pre-populated but should be verified for accuracy. Funding opportunity number is the specific opportunity identifier assigned to the NOFO you are responding to. This number distinguishes this specific competition from other competitions under the same program. Enter it exactly as shown in the NOFO. This number routes your application to the correct review process. Sections 9 through 11 provide competition identification and key contact information. Competition ID in section the 9th of May be required for some programs that run multiple competitions under the same funding opportunity. Check your NOFO to determine if a competition ID is required and what value to enter. Many programs do not use this field. Project title in Section 10 is your concise, descriptive title for the proposed project. This title appears throughout the review process and on any resulting award. Make it informative and professional. Avoid overly long titles, jargon that reviewers may not understand, or cute phrasing that does not communicate substance. Contact information in Section 11 identifies the person who can answer questions about the application. This is typically the project director or principal investigator, or PY, who understands the project details. Include accurate phone number and email address where this person can be reached. Authorized representative information identifies the person with authority to commit the organization, typically the same person serving as AOR. This person can legally bind the organization to the commitments in the application, include their title, contact information, and signature where required. Sections 12 through 14 define when and where your project will take place. Start date is your proposed project begin date. This must be realistic given typical award processing timelines. Starting too soon after the application deadline may not allow time for review, award, and setup. Check the NOFO for any guidance on allowable start dates. End date is your proposed project conclusion date. The period between start and end dates is your project period. Ensure this aligns with the project period allowed by the program and gives you adequate time to complete proposed activities. Areas affected identifies geographic areas where project activities will occur. Depending on the form version and program, this might be specific states, counties, cities, or other geographic designations. This information helps agencies understand the geographic reach of proposed work. Congressional districts must be provided for both your applicant organization location and your project performance locations. Enter the congressional district numbers where your organization is located and where project activities will take place. If activities occur across multiple districts, list all applicable districts. Sections 15 through 17 summarize the financial aspects of your application. Federal funding requested is the amount you are requesting from the federal agency. This number must match your detailed budget exactly, to the dollar. If your budget totals $452,317, enter that exact amount. Discrepancies between this field and your budget create questions and suggest carelessness. Applicant funding indicates your organization's contribution if the program requires or you are voluntarily providing cost sharing or matching funds. Enter the total value of your organization's contribution. If no cost sharing is involved, enter 0. Other funding captures contributions from sources other than the federal agency or your organization. This might include funding from other federal agencies, state or local government, foundations, or other sources. Enter the total from all other sources. Total must equal the sum of federal funding requested plus applicant funding plus other funding. This total represents the complete project budget from all sources. Verify that this total matches your detailed budget. Any discrepancy indicates an error somewhere that must be corrected. Sections 18 through 21 contain certifications and authorizations with legal significance. Executive Order 12372 relates to state review processes. Select the option that applies to your situation, whether your application was made available to the state for review, whether the program is not covered by EO 12372, or whether your state does not have a review process. Check your state's requirements and the NOFO for guidance. Delinquent federal debt requires certification about whether your organization has delinquent federal debt. If your organization owes money to the federal government that is past due, this may affect your eligibility for funding. Answer honestly. False certification has serious consequences. Certification statement is your agreement to comply with applicable terms and conditions if funded. By certifying, you attest that information in the application is true and that your organization will comply with requirements. This is a binding commitment. Authorized signature must be provided by the person with authority to legally bind your organization. This is typically the AOR. The signature certifies that all information is accurate and that the organization commits to the proposed work if funded. Electronic signatures through Grants.gov satisfy this requirement. Avoiding common SF-424 errors prevents problems that delay or derail applications. Name mismatches occur when the legal name entered does not exactly match SAM registration. Even small differences such as including or omitting incorporated or punctuation variations cause validation problems. Copy your legal name directly from SAM registration to ensure exact match. UEI errors include incorrect digits, outdated identifiers, or transposition errors. The UEY must be your current valid identifier. Double-check each character against your SAM registration. An incorrect UEI may link your application to the wrong organization or fail validation entirely. Budget inconsistency between the funding amounts on the SF-424 and your detailed budget raises questions about which numbers are correct. After finalizing your budget, verify that SF-424 amounts match exactly. If you revise your budget, update the SF-424 to match. Date problems include proposing start dates that do not allow adequate time for award processing or project periods that do not align with what the program allows. Review NOFO guidance on allowable dates and periods. Propose realistic dates that reflect when work can actually begin and be completed. Using a verification checklist before submission catches errors that might otherwise cause problems. Cross-reference SAM registration for your legal name, UEI, and address. Pull up your current SAM registration and compare each field character by character. Any discrepancy must be corrected to match SAM exactly. Match budget totals on the SF-424 to your detailed budget. The federal funding requested, applicant funding, other funding, and total should each match the corresponding figures in your budget forms and narrative. Recalculate totals to catch arithmetic errors. Check NOFO to ensure you have entered the correct CFDA number, funding opportunity number, and any competition ID. These identifiers route your application correctly. Entering wrong numbers could send your application to the wrong review process. Review dates to verify your proposed start and end dates are realistic given award timelines and allowed by the program. Check that the project period falls within any limits specified in the NOFO. Unrealistic dates raise reviewer concerns about planning quality. Let us summarize the key points from this lesson on the SF-424 cover sheet. The SF-424 requires precision because errors cause real problems. This is not mere paperwork to rush through. Validation failures, processing delays, and application rejection can all result from SF-424 errors. Treat each field as important and verify accuracy throughout. Exact matches are required between your SF-424 entries and your official records. Your legal name, UEI, and address must exactly match your SAM registration. Your funding amounts must exactly match your detailed budget. Approximations and close enough are not acceptable. Verification against authoritative sources is essential before submission. Check your SAM registration, your budget, and your NOFO. Compare field by field. Have someone else review after you complete the form. The few minutes spent verifying can prevent significant problems. In our next lesson, we will cover assurances and certifications. You will learn about the SF-424B and what you are legally certifying when you sign it, including statements about lobbying, debarment, and civil rights compliance. Practice exercise. If you have access to a completed SF-424 from a previous application, review it against this lesson's guidance. Check whether the legal name matches SAM registration exactly. Verify whether funding amounts match the detailed budget. Identify any fields that might have been completed incorrectly based on what you learned today.